Hello, my historical fashion friends. Thank you for tuning in to the next part of me becoming an actual real life pumpkin. And I am going to talk to you today about how I made my orange kirtle, which is made of a thrifted wool twill. I get all of my wool secondhand. I basically get almost all of my fabric secondhand, but especially my wool. I know I was going to move on to lace kirtles for my next upcoming big projects, but I felt like I hadn't quite constructed a very accurate version, and not that this one turned out 100% accurate, but I really wanted to experiment with using center front and center back gores in a kirtle because my other one that I wear is really based off of a smock pattern, and I wanted something that I felt was a more accurately constructed kirtle because basically all of the garments in this book have center front and center back gores. And so I ordered this fabric and I was really excited. But when we get here to the construction, you will see what happened, which is that I had a lot less fabric than I thought, but I still wanted to go ahead with it anyway, even though it turns out a little short. But I think it's all right because I can always wear something else over it. I do make my laced up short sleeve kirtle. I can wear it over top, or any other lace up kirtle that's going to be longer. I can wear that as an overlayer and still wear this. Or a friend of mine who has similar measurements can wear it, because I am really happy with the actual fit of the sleeves and the body piece. But let's get to the construction. So here's the pattern plan that I sketched out using my grid that I made to the measurements of my fabric. You'll see that I was really struggling to figure out how to fit in all of the pieces that I needed, and I had to do this a couple of times to get all of the pieces to fit on the fabric I had allotted. I thought I had about 6 inches more length to the fabric, and I did not. And this is my sketch for piecing the sleeves. So now I am using my measuring tape and my chalk pencil to sketch out the pattern pieces onto the fabric. I don't actually use real pattern pieces when I'm doing rectangular construction because it's just rectangles and triangles, so I just draw it right on the fabric. And I realized later I was accidentally drawing on the right side of the fabric, but the pencil was easy enough to get off. I had to do measurements over and over again, trying to plan and then replan in my mind how I was going to compensate for the fabric shortage and whether I was going to piece anything on the gores or just the sleeves. I was really hoping to have nice big gores on this and have a nice long kirtle with a train because the fabric was so nice, but unfortunately that didn't work out. Although I think this dress did end up turning out really cute, and I feel like I could wear it as just a regular everyday dress if I wanted to, maybe with some boots and a regular belt. And I think it is maybe more versatile and can also be used for some cottagecore, history-bounding type outfits as well. After a lot of measuring, I finally finished drawing out all of my pattern pieces, which I am going to show here using an overlay to make it easier to see what I drew out on the fabric. And then it was time to cut out all the pieces, and I realized right away I would need some weights. So I got all of my books. And then it was time to start pinning. First, I pinned together the top for the shoulder seam. Then I moved on to pinning the triangles together for the gores. There are 4 of these, so I just pinned all of the straight edges together for each respective gore and then moved on to my sewing room to sew all of these pieces together. Nothing special to see here, just regular sewing. And after that, I moved on to ironing. Once the ironing was done for these pieces, I moved on to cutting the center front and center back slit in which I would insert the front and back gores. So here I am figuring out the measurements for that and trying my best to get it to sit right with the amount of fabric I have. Then I cut the slit and pinned the center front, center back, and the side gores to the body pieces. And now, more sewing. I sewed the gores onto the body pieces and then moved on to drawing and cutting out the neckline. I decided to go for a smaller neckline for this garment so it could fit earlier time periods, and then I can also later move on to some later time periods with some of the other kirtles I will be making coming up. Now I am trying it on and fitting it to myself by pinning it at the sides where I want to take it in. Luckily, this twill was very stretchy, and it was really easy to pin it tight to my body and then be able to get the garment off again. At first, I ended up pinning it so that I sewed over the gores, and then I ended up taking it out later. Unfortunately, my video cut for that part, so I don't have any of that. And then I took it apart and re-sewed it so the entire side gore was visible instead of taking it in and sewing over the tip of the gore so that it was inside of the part that was taken in. Now I'm trying to figure out how to piece together these sleeves, and I wanted to make the sleeve tapered. So I had to really kind of negotiate with this fabric on how many pieces were going to be in this sleeve, but it ended up turning out really cute anyway. By the way, if you like the music that is typically underscoring my videos, almost all of it is composed by a friend of mine, Zachary Onette Kelly, and we have known each other since maybe middle school. We were actually on the same bus, and he is amazingly talented, so if you like his music, you can take a look at his Bandcamp page, which is always linked in the description, and you can also check out a bunch of his other albums that he has composed for, and his stuff is really great, so if you go there, show him some love, and you can even purchase his albums to listen anytime, and it is so affordable. And him and his wife actually just had a baby, so congratulations to them. And so I would love it if you can show him some love and take a listen to his music because he is a really, really talented guy. Anyway, back to the construction notes. Here I am showing the part that I pinned to take it in, as well as the pinning of the sleeves and the part of the shoulder seam, which I cut out to make my shoulders more narrow. And now even more sewing. For a lot of my dresses, I do these really skinny, long triangular sleeve gores, which I feel like make the sleeve look more fitted and attractive, and I have seen some things like this, although these came out very strange because I was working with not a lot of fabric and had to use everything possible to add to the sleeves by the end. So once I sewed the sleeve gores together, I pinned them to the sleeves, sewed those on. So then I was able to move on to setting the sleeves in the garment, which I started to record, and then my video cut again. So here it is all put together, and I am just trimming the hem to make it even. Here I am finishing all of the tips of the gores, which I always do by hand, even if I sew the rest by machine, because I want to get it set in nicely, and I feel like the machine doesn't give me enough control over that. So I always do the tips of the gores by hand, and then I also did a rolled hem on the neckline as well as the ends of the sleeves and the bottom hem. After that, I just felled the seams down. I didn't actually do a normal fell because there wasn't enough fabric, so I didn't use as much seam allowance, and the wool was pretty thick. So I ended up just kind of pushing the fabric to the side for the seam allowance and doing a whip stitch over that instead of folding part of the seam allowance over the other part. And here's how the finished sleeve looks. Now you'll see here, due to my fabric shortage, I ended up having to really piece together the sleeves. But I sort of like how it turned out. You can see here that it has basically 3 pieces, and I don't mind it because it sort of makes this cute little design on the sleeve. And, you know, piecing is period, and I'm sure this probably happened to a lot of people. I sort of imagine that this character I'm playing maybe grew rapidly, much like myself in the 7th grade when I grew 7 inches very uncomfortably. And, you know, she hasn't gotten around to making a new dress yet. What I love most about this dress is the color. It is just an absolutely gorgeous color, and I didn't plan this, but it goes amazingly with the belt I just made, and I really like the combination. I'm also planning on making an apron dress to go with this, so I'm pretty enthusiastic about all of the different pairings I can put with this. And now for more reveal footage. This is how I'm styling it to span over basically 400 years, and I'm really pleased with how it looks for each of these. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you can watch my upcoming episode where I make a front lacing short sleeve kirtle as the mock-up for my long sleeve front lacing kirtle that is going to be teal and sort of Merida inspired. I'm really looking forward to that, and after making this dress, I'm super confident that I do have enough fabric for my teal dress to make it the right length. I kind of want to have a little bit of a train on that one, so this one feels more like it's for probably a farm kind of working woman who wouldn't necessarily want her skirt dragging in the mud. Let me know if you ever embarked on a sewing journey and realized a little too late that you didn't have quite enough fabric. And be sure to give a like if you like this video. I always love reading all of your comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.